Hey, this is Johnny Bean.
How you doing? David Nesdall here.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good. I'm doing well. And yourself?
I'm I'm hanging in there. I felt like we were just on here.
We did. We were just on here.
Yeah. People loved it too, man.
Yeah, it was a good one. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Dave, we did a live guitar lesson with the Hendrix lick. A question from a viewer, which if you have questions about anything, post them in the comments of these videos, email me, tweet me, Instagram me, whatever you want, and we will basically do whatever you want us to do. But hey, Dave. Yeah, so today is the 35th anniversary of Van Halen's Fair Warning album.
That's amazing. I can't believe it. My first concert ever, and I was 11.
Man, I wasn't even into Van Halen then. 81. I was listening to the Dukes of Hazzard TV
Nice.
theme cassette. That's what I had. 81. That was my cassette.
Just a good old boys.
Yeah, that's what I was into.
Nice.
Uh, so anyway, I figured we would talk about this album, whatever we know about it. Talk about, obviously our audience is very guitar driven. So anything we know about Eddie Van Halen's gear for the album, for the tour, guitars, I feel like we'll probably dive mostly into that subject, but I think everything will be cool.
Sure.
Yeah. So as far as a great article on the album, head on over to the Van Halen Newsdesk. They did a great article about the album. Um, a lot of great like the release date was April 29th, 1981.
It's amazing.
It was recorded early March through early April 81. Stuff like that. Produced by Ted Templeman, which I think everybody knows.
Hmm.
Most everybody. And the album, it was just over half an hour long.
That's
You know,
crazy.
probably probably as long as this podcast will be. uh, so, and I know a lot of podcasts, they include music, blah blah blah. We can't do that here on YouTube. So, but any song you want to hear, you can go listen to it. You listen to it on Spotify, or you probably actually have it, in your collection. So anyway, if anybody listening to this, if you'd like to join us, if you have a Google Plus account, feel free to message me on Facebook, and you can jump in here and talk about the album with us.
Yeah, that'd
And
be
any
great.
comments, if you saw this post on Facebook anywhere. Oh, that reminds me, I got to tweet out the link to this. Hang on one sec. Let's see later. Okay. I'll just tweet out that we're live right now
Sure.
because I tweeted earlier and I said I would do that. Got. Well, hey, while I'm doing that, play a lick off the album. You know,
Okay.
you know.
There you go. There's a look. Probably came in all distorted.
A little bit. Play another one. I'm still tweeting.
All right, another lick. Let's see. How about in the right key? There we go.
One
Are you
more
still-
quickly.
Are you still tweeting? Let's see. I don't know anymore. Let's see. How about this?
Okay, I'm back. Sounds good, man.
All right, we're done.
Sounds good. Yeah. So we can't play the actual songs off the albums, but Dave can play them on the guitar. That's even better.
It's great. Even with my wrong notes, wrong chords and wrong notes.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, I just tweeted that out.
Cool.
Yeah. So anyway, let's well, like I said, Van Halen Newsdesk has a really great article on the album. Head on over to there. You can read up on the all little facts or whatever. But let's start with our memories. What do you want to go first? Do you want to say what do you remember about this album?
Like I said, it was the first concert I ever went to when I was 11 years old, and I went with a couple of friends from school, and like a couple of dads. I don't know. I can't remember which dads came, but I was playing guitar, but not really rock and roll, and I didn't know anything about Van Halen at the time. But all I saw was this guy on stage jumping around with this red guitar, and it was life changing. And then I looked into the audience and I saw women taking their shirts off, and I was like, oh, I want to be that guy. I want to do what he's doing, and I want to be that guy. And I never looked back. It was the first tour I went to, and every tour after, I never missed a tour. Still haven't missed a tour since then. It's how I live my life. Live my life by Van Halen. It's very funny. It's sad, very funny. Oh man.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my main memory of this record, because I didn't even know about the record until I saw them live. I knew nothing about what a Van Halen was. I was like, what's a Van Halen? Oh, you want to go to this concert? Okay, I think I paid like $14. It was crazy. It was like no money.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was cool. Saw them at the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, New York, and man, it was loud. It was super loud. It was super colorful, and that all I remember was that red guitar. I don't even think I remember the Circles guitar, because I didn't even know what that was back then. Who knew what that was? But I remember this red striped guitar, and that he was jumping around. Who's the guy without the shirt on, jumping around with this red guitar? And that's what I remember. That's what I remember most. And the boobs flying. It was crazy. Crazy. Yeah.
Just saying goodbye.
Oh, you leaving?
Yeah.
Take it easy.
See you later, bro.
Bye.
All right.
See you, my friend.
See you home later.
All right. It's my friend Wade saying goodbye to me.
Hey, goodbye, Wade.
What?
And
Is it okay
and
if my penis is out right now?
Schlump.
This is live, by the way.
This is live.
It's
Of course
a live
it is.
podcast.
How come I only see
Because
you,
it's
Dave?
a live podcast. That's Johnny's
Hi, Johnny.
avatar.
Hey there.
Oh, this isn't video though.
No.
It's audio.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Okay.
see.
I
Hey,
got,
Johnny, how you
got
doing?
nothing but the guys here.
Hey.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I didn't want to leave without saying goodbye to my good friend Dave. He's a good man.
The men's room where all the dicks hang out.
I'll see you later.
As I said before, flump.
Oh, God.
And later, nice to meet you.
And there you go. Two of the members of Shotgun Wedding. Look out for that band. They're going to be fantastic.
Yeah, we're dangerous.
Man.
I know we're talking about Van Halen, but this band Shotgun Wedding that they're in, the guitar player and keyboard player, and they both sing. It's fantastic music, and they're about to be very big. Anyway, let's talk about Van Halen.
Cool. Hey, Alberto. Alberto chimes in. I know this is off topic, but can we hear David's new Wolfgang with the sustainer? I guess. Do you have that?
I don't have it handy. It's in the other room.
Have you learned how to use it?
I'm learning how to use it.
Okay.
You know what? Alberto,
We should actually dedicate a video to that.
Yeah.
To that guitar.
Give us a few days and let me bone up on how to use that thing a little bit better, so I don't look like a fool. And we'll definitely do a good video that does it justice.
Cool. Right on.
But right now I'm playing this red EVH Wolfgang that I just got, which is really fantastic. And I've got nothing but great things to say about this Mexican guitar. It's fantastic.
By the way, hi everyone, and thanks. Alberto says hello, everybody.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's messaging me on Facebook right now.
Oh, nice.
So anybody out there, if you have a question, if you have a comment about, I don't know, well, about Fair Warning, mostly, feel free to message me on Facebook. Message me your question or your comment, and I'll read them. And Paul Rodden just said something. I saw it. I think he said something like he can't see us and it's bothering him.
Yeah. There's a reason for that, Paul. And we know your last name is Roden, but you're officially Rodden from now on.
I can't see you guys. This is bothering me, he says.
You're officially Rodden and not Roden.
Well, it's a good thing we don't have the cameras on because of what just happened in Dave's room, Oh. I mean, I'm imagining that guy actually did come in with his pants off.
No, not at all. Those guys are fully dressed, but Dennis is he's a funny guy. He's very funny.
Cool. Okay, all right. So let's get back. Fair Warning. So your first when you bought the album, was it LP, cassette?
It was cassette. It was a cassette.
Paul Rodden says, "Don't paint me a picture."
Oh Lord.
See, that's what these podcast deals, that's why I enjoy doing these. I've been doing my Veda thing like this every night, and it's more when it's only
Johnny, what's the first letter in Veda?
V.
What does that stand for?
Vlog.
Oh, but isn't it video logging?
No. Well, yes and no. Okay. I mean, it's video, but anything on YouTube is video. No matter, even if it's just audio, it's still video.
Okay, very good.
Alberto says it took about 12 days to make and like $40,000. The album. Fair Warning. Yeah. According to VHND. Yep. Anyway. Okay, so you had the cassette.
Yeah, I bought the cassette, and man, it changed my life. And because of that cassette, I went back and bought the first 3 records.
Was that your first Van Halen?
It was my first Van Halen record. Yeah, I bought that and I only bought that record because I went to the show and I wanted to hear all the songs.
Mm-hmm.
And then
you bought that album in '81.
Yeah, I bought it brand new. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep. I think I went out that weekend. I can't remember what day it was, but I think I went out that weekend and I bought, and that was with my own money. I was proud to say that I bought that record with my own money.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I think I bought Van Halen 2 next. And then Van Halen 1, and then I heard Eruption. I was like, oh my God. I mean, it was just ridiculous. It was ridiculous how cool it was.
And there's a live call.
Yeah, I'm not answering that though.
Don't they want to talk about the record?
Yeah. No, it's probably my mom wondering if I ate dinner.
Oh. Well, I haven't eaten, so if my mom's listening to this, I'm sitting here starving or standing. I'm actually standing.
Oh, I'm sitting. I'm sitting on a drum throne that's a little wobbly.
Mm-hmm. Alberto, he bought the VH Fair Warning record at his local Goodwill for 50 cents, like 6 weeks ago,
Wow.
in pretty good condition. That's cool, man. Hey,
Yeah,
Alberto,
that's
was that
great.
the first time you ever heard that album?
6 weeks ago?
You know, did you just hear it? Well, I mean, you never know. And let's see. I think we got a comment here on Facebook. Question for the podcast. Michael Smith says, "What song on Fair Warning do you think is the most challenging to play?" Meaning, I guess on guitar.
I'm gonna say either Sinner Swing or the solo to When Push Come to Shove.
Yeah, those are great ones. Those
Yeah.
are great ones, man. Let's see. Alberto. I'm sorry. Alberto is typing something to me right now. I guess I'll tell you. Okay, so it was the first album that you bought, the first Van Halen album, and then after that, because you saw them in concert, you went back, you bought what, a couple,
Yeah,
few other records.
I bought Van Halen 2, then I bought 1, and then Women and Children first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you crammed that night, right?
Yeah. Because back then, you're in junior high, and they're like, I bet you can't name one song or whatever, how many songs, and I'm like, I can, so I can name all of them. It's so funny, when you're that young, you're young and dumb.
Well, everybody in junior high now is like, "What's a Van Halen?"
Yeah.
Oh, that's my grandpa's favorite band. Alberto says, "Lol, nope. I started listening to VH like 6 years ago because of my dad. Haha, and now a VH freak. Very cool, man. Very cool. Yeah. Well, myself, let's see. Fair warning, I bought. It was not my first Van Halen album that I bought. I know some people will get after me for this. My first Van Halen album I ever bought was 5150. I got it.
With that.
I got it in 1986, brand new. After I bought 5150 in 86, I bought the first album on cassette. I remember that, and then so those are the two albums I had for a long time together. So I pretty much was introduced to Van Halen right from the get-go of both eras.
Yeah.
The first album and 5150. The first album with Roth, the first album with Hagar. So it was a pretty good mix, and it was a pretty good crash course on learning about both eras. If those are the first two albums you were to have, like I would say to anybody, actually, anybody listening to this right now or out there, if you've never heard a Van Halen record, go out and get the first album, go out and get 5150, and you can hear, the start of where it all started in both eras.
I agree.
And to me, it's all Van Halen. To me, it's only rock and roll.
There's a song in there.
Yes. Yeah. But as far as the Fair Warning album, I remember what year would that have been? It was probably around the same time. I mean, 86, 87, somewhere.
Yeah.
I guess. And I remember I got it in Oklahoma. I have family who lives in Oklahoma. I was a kid. We were visiting family in Oklahoma, and kind of like Alberto's story, I was in like a little record store in this teeny tiny town, and I saw a cassette copy of Fair Warning. Got it for probably $1. Probably less, probably 50 cents. Same thing that Alberto says, I think. And let's see. Um, I remember listening to the album for the first time. I remember listening to it on either a cassette player. I don't know if I had a Walkman or remember those little cassette recorders where it was just
Yeah.
like a little tape player, has one speaker.
Yeah.
It
Sure.
sits flat. You put the tape in. You can hit all the buttons are all on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It might have been on one of those things. You know. But I remember listening to the album, and when the first song was on, which is of course "Mean Streets," my uncle walked in the room, and he walks in and he starts singing along to the song. You know, he knew it. He knew it, and I guess I can kind of thank my aunt and uncle for being introduced to Van Halen, because they were huge fans way back when. They saw them every tour, you know, from '78 to whenever, you know. So I remember them talking about Van Halen all the time. They actually ran into David Lee Roth a couple times, just out, you know, skiing or whatever,
Right.
you know. And I remember they were asking him, you know, who he was, and he was like denying that he was Roth. He's like, "No, I'm not him," you know. But they knew it was, you know. And this would have been like, I don't know, early '80s, you know. Yeah. Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
Wow.
And I guess something I can say, my uncle, is that he's actually related to Jazz Obrecht, the writer.
Right.
And anybody who knows Eddie's first guitar player, Eddie's first actual magazine interview was by Jazz Obrecht. So that's kind of a cool thing.
That's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I've actually talked to him years ago, Jazz, and I get friends who know him, you know, whatever. But anyway, yeah. So I remember getting it on the album, Fair Warning, on cassette, listening to it. I would say the first song on there that really just knocked me out, like, whoa, you know, because I had just started learning how to play the guitar myself, would have been Unchained.
Yeah.
You know, I heard that, and the part in between the riff, the flanger part,
Yeah, sure.
on the low D string, that I was totally blown away by. You know, like, how is he doing that? That's insane. That's the craziest sound, you know? And I thought it was just amazing. Well, I still do. I still think it's amazing, but you know, when you're a kid hearing that for the first time, it knocks you out.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. That first of all, that song is just, how ridiculous is that song? It's
Mhm.
just it's. I mean, every song on that record is just fantastic, but that song is like, how that didn't become a #1 hit is beyond my scope of thinking. I just, you know, what a great melody, what a great, you know, everything about that song is just top notch, top
Mhm.
notch
Mhm.
for
And
that style of music. For that style of music, man.
yeah, and it was a single.
Yeah, it was a single, but it wasn't like it didn't, you know, wasn't like a #1 hit. It wasn't like even in the top, I don't know, was it even in the top 40?
We can look that up. I can look that up right now. Let's see.
That's pretty crazy. I mean, just right from the word go, you know, that song, killer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
crazy.
the verses, I mean, the verses, you know, that whole thing, it's like, man, who thinks of that? Who thinks of making, you know, the rhythm guitar single notes? No one did that, man.
Mm-hmm. Unchained, it made it to number 13.
Oh, wow, okay.
Mm-hmm. according to Wikipedia, which you probably, I don't know if you should believe any of this, but yeah, so This Is Love was a single that made it to number 15. Mean Street made it to number 12. Push Comes to Shove made it to number 29.
And that was the disco song.
Mm-hmm. Oh man,
Had that disco drum beat.
it's great. It's great stuff.
And you know what? The guitar part in the song "Mine All Mine" is the same guitar part that's in "Push Come to Shove."
Really?
The rhythm guitar is the same premise. Listen to both guitar parts, and they're very similar.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I'll have to do that. Let's see. It says the album made it to number 6.
Wow, that's great.
So that made it to number 6. Let's see. 2 times platinum in the U.S. and Canada. It was platinum, or is, I guess. Let's see. What else? Let's see. We have a question here. Michael Smith on Facebook. Question: what is your favorite song on the album? I love the fact that the album was done early in their career and did not sound overproduced. And I think that One Foot Out the Door is a very underrated song. Excellent guitar soloing on that one.
It was forgive my French, but it was balls out. The solo in that song was ridiculous. It was balls out. Made no sense at all, and that's what made it make sense.
Well, I think one of the reasons for that, which a lot of hardcore diehard fans know this, but the regular listener might not. Fair warning, that was the first album where Eddie really started getting into doing overdubs, and him and Don Landy, they would sneak back down into the studio at night, like 3-4 in the morning, and re-record all the tracks that they had recorded during the day. And so, and Eddie wasn't very, I guess he wasn't very happy during that time with the band, probably with Roth. So that really shows, within the guitar playing and the riffs, the darkness.
Yeah.
Of the sound.
Dark. It was a dark record, a very angry record. It really was angry.
Let's see, Alberto. Alberto says, "Fair Warning was the first wet, dry guitar sound for Ed, if I'm not mistaken, because I hear a bit of Eventide harmonizer in the tone, but I could be wrong."
No, I think you're right, Alberto. I think it was definitely there was a wet, dry signal there. I'm not sure if he was using an Eventide. But it was definitely there was definitely some movement, some detunes, some
octave,
some chorusing stuff going on.
There's a guitar that comes in at the very, very end of Unchained, which has an octave.
That's right, and the very last chord that rings out actually sounds like a banjo, but and it's just playing a D chord. It's like.
Is that a chord?
Yeah.
Yeah, I always thought that was like the springs under the guitar.
No, well, you know what? I don't know. It could be. Maybe but it was definitely. It's definitely a rings out a D chord.
I'll have to listen to that. Hey, Alberto, you should listen to that and let us know because we can't listen to it right now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, Unchained, man. Yeah, I've got the what do you call it? I've got an instrumental version of it. I've got the guitar only.
Oh, that's
You know,
great.
I've got drums only. I've got bass only. I've got vocals only. For that tune.
And you can hear the mistakes in the guitar. There are mistakes that he leaves in that are happy accidents as far as I'm
Oh yeah.
concerned. In
Yeah,
that song.
you can hear them rush back in when they come back into the last chorus, but to the chorus after the bridge.
Yeah.
You can actually hear where he like rushes for like a split second there. Yeah, yeah, you can totally hear that stuff. What else? Yeah, yeah. And as far as the music video, they really didn't make any music videos for a lot of stuff. Most of the stuff you saw was either live.
Yeah, live footage. Absolutely.
Was either live footage or was like lip synced.
Mm-hmm.
They would do a lot of lip syncing stuff.
Yeah, a lot of Italian shows and stuff.
Yeah. And it wasn't just them. All the bands that's the way they had to do it back then.
Right.
So you might look on YouTube and find some crazy videos of them playing Unchained, and it's like they aren't even plugged in.
What I always wondered was, was Alex actually? I mean, he had to have been hitting his drums. I mean, they had to have been making noise. There wasn't pads on the drum skins. Had to have been live, but somehow maybe not on in the house. Like playing over the song, but then you don't hear him actually hitting the drums. I don't know how that works.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. They would. He would be hitting them, but they had ways to kind of mute it.
Yeah.
To make it softer. Stuff like that. Let's see. We have another Michael Smith. Which guitar did Ed use primarily for that album?
Oh, Frankenstein.
That was his main guitar for a lot of years.
Yeah, he used that on almost everything.
Mm-hmm.
Probably everything on that record. Probably. That's probably the only guitar he used. I mean, I don't remember anything else being used or anything that sounded like it wasn't that guitar.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, he sounded. I mean, to most Van Halen fans that are guitar players, guitarists, musicians, whatever, they would say the guitar tone on Fair Warning. It's either between that or the first album. As far as people's favorites,
as being the best,
as being the best,
right. And I would definitely pick that record over the first record. I think Eddie would agree as well. He wasn't a fan of all the reverb and all the junk that they put on his sound. He did it because basically he was told to. But I think during the Fair Warning, Women and Children First, Fair Warning, that's really when he had autonomy to sound the way he wanted to.
Yeah. Well, he was also doing a lot more overdubs.
Yeah.
A lot. And the reason the first and second albums have all that reverb on it was to fill space.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was to fill, to make a stereo sound out of a one guitar band. Like you listen to the first and second albums, mainly the first one. Well, both, but the first album, listen to You Really Got Me, whatever, and you hear the guitar really on one channel. It's just it's barely audible on the other channel.
What you got to realize, you got to remember is that basically Van Halen is a trio. the music aspect anyway. It's a trio, and then there's a voice on top of it.
Mhm.
You know, so you know it's going to be bare bones.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but as far as the albums progressed, he was doing more and more overdubs.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking Fair Warning probably had the most up to that point.
Yeah.
You know, he had slide guitar going. You know, where he played the
Dirty Movies, the intro.
yeah, yeah. Which on that last tour, he used a quarter
Yeah, and he didn't.
for that.
Well, he used the quarter for that, but he didn't. You know, like the parts were the notes. On the record, he used the slide to actually play the notes, and he just fingered them on the tour. He didn't use a slide at all for that.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, because he was using a quarter for it. But yeah, on that song on the album, he used a 1962 Gibson SG-TV Junior, and it has a P90 pickup, and that was a guitar where he actually, to get high as he wanted to on the neck, he actually sawed off the lower horn.
Wow. Yeah.
For that. Here's a little quote. When we were recording Dirty Movies and Sunset Sound. We were recording Dirty Movies and Sunset Sound when I asked Don Landy to get me a hacksaw. He asked me what I was going to do. I told him not to worry about it. I hacked off the horn on the treble side of my SG because I couldn't hit the high notes with the slide. They looked at me like I fell out of my tree. And he used that SG that he used for Dirty Movies for the slide part. He says he used to play it in the band's club days. It was a bitch to keep in tune. The neck is heavier than the body. I didn't play it for very long because it's uncomfortable to play. It's uncomfortable to play a guitar when you have to support the neck and play at the same time. Yeah, which is true. You know, that's one of the reasons it's very important to get a good balance of your guitar with, moving your strap pins around or whatever.
Yeah, and just a sidebar, it's like that with every SG guitar. I've owned a few SGs, and that's why I sell them, because they're neck heavy, and more of the neck sticks out. So you're playing an E chord, and your elbow is extended because it's farther out, like a bass would be. It's farther out to the left. If you're right-handed, the neck, the headstock is farther out to the left because it's of the way it's built. It's a little bit longer guitar. It seems like a longer guitar. It's still 24 3/4 inch scale, but it seems longer because of where it's attached to the body. And because of that, it's neck heavy. No matter where you put the strap button on that guitar, it's going to be neck heavy. And every time I buy one of those things, I shortly thereafter remember, oh yeah, this sucks, and I sell it.
Oh man. Yeah. Well, they're great guitars. I guess you have to, sit down to play them, or.
Well, I mean, unless you're Derek Trucks, Derek Trucks, he plays them, and plays the shit out of them. He's amazing, amazing guitar player, and he plays an SG, and he loves it. Good for him. It's he's he knows how to play one. Most of the world does not. But,
oh yeah, I think they're great. SGs, especially with the P90. P90s have to be my favorite pickups.
Yeah, they're very cool. They're the most.
There's just a tone.
Sounding.
There's a tone with those you can't get from.
It's a bark. It's else. More of a bark.
Yep. Let's see. I've got a few comments here. Alberto says, I dig Alex's drum sound, especially the snare drum on Dirty Movies. Cool.
Yeah, it's very great. Cool. But his drum sound is very similar on every record. You can he can hit that. You know, you can put 10 drummers in a room, and you can pick him out by the way his snare sounds.
I mean that's his tone. You know,
Yeah.
Eddie gets his, what people call the, Eddie's brown sound, but that was actually he was misquoted one time years and years and years ago because he was actually talking about how that was the sound, how they describe Alex's snare drum sound as being brown,
Yeah, it's very
wooden,
warm, very brown.
you know? Yeah. And then just ended up, people used that and started using it for Eddie's guitar tone, you know? Because he has more of an overdriven, not a real distorted sound. I mean, it's gotten more and more distorted over the years. And the last album, A Different Kind of Truth, is the most distorted I've ever heard Eddie's guitar on a record.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with the pickups in the Wolfgang guitar because the impedance is I think those pickups are 14K, the ohms.
They're very hot.
They're very, very hot.
Very
For those of you who don't know, a humbucker pickup in say a late 50s Les Paul is going to be somewhere between 7 and 8K. And that's pretty, that's a big sound. That's a very big sound. Think about all those Bad Company records, from the 70s, or even Led Zeppelin from like the fourth record on. It's a very big sound, and those pickups are they're not very hot. I would consider them even underwound. And to have a pickup that is twice that winding, it distorts your sound. It really does. I mean, this is the pickups that I have in the guitar right now. Is that it's a 14K plus bridge pickup, and it's a very distorted sound. It's very, very distorted. If I plugged in my Les Paul to this same exact sound, it would be a little bit cleaner sounding than it is.
Yeah, well, that amp, it's a very distorted amp too.
And I have the channel, the gain structure. I have it at about 1 o'clock, which is about 6. I don't really put it past that because it just becomes noise.
The EVH 5153.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, that combination, the Wolfgang pickup, the 5153 amplifier, it's a very, very, very distorted, very hot sound, which is very, very different from any of Eddie's earlier setups. And live, he was always kind of more distorted live, but as far as the records, most of the albums, it was very clean, really.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before, while we were saying that Diver Down was like the most clean he'd ever been.
Yeah. And it's probably one of the biggest sounds ever. The perception people have is, the more distortion I have, the bigger it's going to sound. It's quite the opposite. The cleaner your guitar sound is, the bigger it's going to sound, the more beefy it's going to sound. I mean, listen to any AC/DC record. Those amps are super duper clean. They're not very distorted. Maybe for the guitar solos, they're a little distorted, but the rhythm channel, the rhythm guitar sounds, first of all, most of that is Malcolm Young playing it on a Gretsch. It's not going to be very distorted. He's playing a Gretsch through a Marshall like a Plexi, and they don't have a preamp gain. They're just you just turn them up, and it's the tubes, the power tubes that are overdriving. So you get a very clean, very big sound out of that.
And yeah, and the cleaner your sound, really, the louder you can be, because if it's clean, it can be very loud and it can be heard. The more heavy, the more distorted it is, the louder it is, the more it just becomes noise.
Yeah, it becomes noise, and there's a fine line too. There's just a fine line between what sounds good and what really does not sound good.
Let's see. A couple comments here. Alberto says, I want to get a new amp Should I get a PV 5150 or a 5153 EVH? Well, it really depends on. Somebody else asked me this the other day, and this pretty much the same question.
Well,
Was it you? Was it you, Alberto?
Can I take that question, John?
Yeah. You
I think we
answer it,
both
and
can.
I'll-
We both can take that question. Alberto, you're not going to lose out either way. The thing is, the PV version, if you can find them, they're going to be a little bit less money. I think if you bought a 100-watt head, it's probably going to cost you somewhere between $600 and $700 for the head. I would imagine used, but then you need a cabinet. Cabinets, a 112 cabinet, which really isn't enough. I guess for a 100-watt head, you should probably use a 212 cabinet. They're probably going to cost new. If you get the EVH ones, they're going to cost $500. You're going to start at about $500. I don't think PV ever made a 212 cabinet. I know they made a 212 combo, but I don't think they ever made a 212 cabinet. You can get a Marshall 212 cabinet. They're about $700. But the EVHs, the new ones, the 50-watt, the head is $1,000. A cabinet, like I said, a 212 cabinet is going to be $500. You might be able to get it for a little less if you get both, depending on the music store you go to. But what I would do if I were you is wait just a little while longer and wait for the EL34 amp and listen to that and see what it sounds like. Because I think that's going to be the next thing that Eddie uses live. He's going to go backwards and use a little less gain, and it's going to sound like his old amp, the old Marshall. And I think people are going to want that. So wait a little while longer and see if that tickles your fancy, because I think that's going to be the next big craze is the fact that Eddie's going to go backwards in time with his sound, and everyone's going to want that amp.
Yeah. Well, did you see the video? Apparently, there's a video of him actually testing that amp.
He was road testing it during a sound check
on the last tour. Yeah,
on the last tour, and wow, it was just amazing sounding. I mean, it sounded like 1984 all over again. It was great. And I mean, he was using his Wolfgang. He was using the white Wolfgang. Sounded fantastic. And it's quite a shame that he didn't use that for the actual shows. But I don't know. I think people are going to be amazed with what he comes out with next. With when he starts using that amp. It's going to be a pleasant surprise for everyone's ears. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that his tone now or that his sound now is bad. I think Eddie could play out of play with a Memphis guitar and a Gorilla amp and sound like Eddie Van Halen. He'll sound fantastic. A pig nose amp, whatever. He'll sound like him. But I think
Gorilla.
Yeah, Magilla Gorilla amp. Yeah,
I have one of those. I have it. I don't know where it is. I don't know what happened to it. Did you see that video of Slash playing through one?
No.
Him and Conan O'Brien, they went and answered some Craigslist ads for guitars.
Yeah.
And they would show up, and it's on my page. I posted it. I think it was yesterday. It's really funny.
I gotta check that out.
Yeah. Okay, Alberto. Here's my answer. And yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, he says it wasn't him. Yeah, it was somebody else. It was somebody on Instagram was asking me pretty much the same question about either a 51. I think they were saying it was a choice between a 5152 or the EVH one, and I basically I can't remember what I told them, but it had to do with, I think they were just it was just for playing, for using in their bedroom. It wasn't for playing shows with or whatever. But also one of the things you have to take into consideration, the 5152 or what is it, the 6505, the 6505 plus, which is the latest version of like the 5152 or whatever, the PV version. They make 112s now, and they're open backed, and they just, I don't think they sound great, just at all. I think they sound very, very bad. So don't put those up against any of the other ones,
Mm-hmm.
because they just, I've tried them. I think you and we actually did a FaceTime one time. Remember that time I was at Guitar Center and I was trying out this guitar, and this guy tries shoving his way between me and the amp. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
The guy was like, "Get out of my way."
That's so funny.
Yeah, you were there. You saw it. Remember that?
I do remember that. Hey, I just got a question from a guy named Randall. Hang on a second. Randall Frew, Frew. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name correctly. I'm sorry if I'm not, Randall. I can't even read this. He says, "Hey Dave, just watching you and Johnny talk shop. Question: 50-watt EVH head or lunchbox?" Man, my eyes. Not too concerned with reverb. I got that covered. Well, all right. So he wants to know if he should get the 50-watt versus the lunchbox. Now, Johnny and I have different views on the lunchbox amp. The 50-watt is plenty if you're going to play live. If you're going to do live shows, well, let's start it this way. If you're the only guitar player in your band and your drummer doesn't play very loud, then the lunchbox will be plenty of volume. You can use that live. If you're in a band with two guitar players, or I would even say a keyboard player and a guitar player, then I honestly don't think the 15-watt lunchbox is going to be enough to carry you over. It certainly is not going to have enough clean headroom to play clean. And you are, I believe, just going to be able to be heard playing with overdrive. The only saving grace is if you're doing shows where your amp is going to be mic'd up, then of course it'll be plenty, because you'll be in the house and you'll be coming back up in your monitors. But if you're just playing a bar where chances are you're not going to be mic'd up, I would go with the 50-watt, because you could always turn it down. And if if you're too loud, you could always turn it down, and you'll definitely be loud enough at any volume to be heard, whether you're one guitar player or two guitar players. Johnny is probably going to have a little bit different view than I do, but hit it, Johnny. Tell Randall what you think.
Well, I'm still answering Alberto.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, no,
I totally cut you off. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Alberto, we'll get back to you. Well, if your whole band is playing lunchboxes, and if your drummer is playing, Barbie's first drum kit, then it's totally cool. No, I'm just kidding. And if your singer is like 2 feet tall, I'm just kidding. No, I think. What was the question? 50-watt or lunchbox?
Yes.
Which would he get? I would say.
Well, I'm assuming he's asking which one he should get, because he didn't actually say which one should I get. He just said
or just what
50-watt or lunchbox.
Well, as far as having more of a versatile, is that a word?
Yeah,
Versatile. Is that the
versatile.
wrong word? I would say if you were to pick between the two, I would go with the 50 watt. That's actually more of a real amp. You know, it has does the 50 watt, does that have all three channels?
No, it has 2 channels, but the blue channel is shared by the clean and the rhythm distortion.
So it's the 100 watt that has three channels:
Yes.
the green, blue, and red.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, the 50 watt also on the pedal board. There's a green, blue, and red, but it's shared. The clean channel and the blue channel is shared in one
Mhm.
section. You understand?
Okay.
And then the red channel is by itself.
That's like how my original 5150 is.
Yeah, exactly.
The clean, it's only really a clean and a dirty, but you can dirty up the clean,
Yes.
And the clean on the original 5150 is not very clean. That's the reason why they made the 5152. That's the reason why they made the 5150 combo.
Right.
The original 5150 combo was made with the better clean channel, and that's actually what Eddie used for his clean tone on the Balance tour. He had a whole stack of the combos. But so this has gone from fair warning chat into like total guitar stuff, but it all relates.
Yeah,
it's all cool. But yeah, as far as the lunchbox amp, I can see you using that for a show, but you would really have to jerry rig. It's not, I agree with Dave where it's you can get it loud enough, but my point was it's plenty loud to have behind you. But yes, I would be mic'd up, to have it fill, the house. And the part where there's really no clean channel, that's the problem. I mean, there's different ways. It's a great amp. I think it's a great amp. I've played it several times. I've done several different videos with it, reviews.
Yeah.
I've cranked the thing.
I've played it too, and originally I didn't like it, and then I really sat with it, and I do love it.
Mm-hmm.
I do love it, and I do agree with Johnny that you can mic it up. And one thing for sure is your sound guy will absolutely love you because your stage volume will not be very loud, and he can pump you into the house.
He's like, "Oh, thank you for not turning up." You're like, "What do you mean? I turned all the way up."
Yeah.
This thing's cranked.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would suggest, micing up your acoustic guitar if you're going to use that amp. No, I'm kidding. If you want to be able to hear yourself on stage with a lunchbox, play acoustically.
I think you're going to need a double neck ukulele.
No, we're just playing. I'm just kidding. No, it's a great amp. It's great for what it is. I can see it being used for live, but like I was saying, you're limited by the channels. I between the two, if you want to, if you're touring, if you're playing, if your drummer, is Alex Van Halen, or the guy from Rush or whatever, I'd go with the 50 watt. But they're both great. Am I distorted? Did that distort for you?
No. You're fine.
Okay. And Alberto, to get back to you, yeah, it was not him. It was somebody on Instagram that was messaging me and asking me about the 5152 or the EVH. And I think he ended up going with the I can't remember. It's in my Instagram. You can search my Instagram photos the past couple of days for the comments, and you'll see the conversation.
Great.
Alberto, he does say he has, I do have 2 4x12s, and one is a PV 5150 cab.
Oh, cool.
Okay, yeah. It's a great cab. That's what I have.
Either amp will work great, Alberto. Either amp.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on how much you want to pay. That's all.
That sounded threatening.
Well, also, the other thing is...
Depends on how much you want to pay.
Well, because I was burping as I was saying.
You got to pay. You're from New York. I
The other thing is, I do think that, this is my personal opinion, but I think the PV is a little bit more noisier than the EVH on the dirty channels. I think it's got a little bit more hiss to it than the EVH does.
It's a very unique sound. The EVHs, they're kind of based off the PV, you know. The PV is a very, very unique tone, and it's very, very big with the like the thrash metal community. You know, they took a liking to those PVs and those 6505s, and that's totally what do you call it? Crossed over to the entire EVH brand.
Right.
You know, the EVH brand really is made. They say it's made. You know, everybody uses it, but it's really for, most of the people that use it are like thrash players, like real heavy players. That's why all the guitars are dark. You know.
Yeah.
It has a very, it's a very, very darker. Well, here we're getting back to Fair Warning being dark. You know. The EVH brand, as far as the guitars and the amps, the tones, the looks, it's very, very dark compared to the lighter, Ernie Ball Music Man, PV 5150. That thing got darker as it went along. PV Wolfgang, let's see. I think Alberto was typing something. Michael Smith, I think you've been saying a few things. Ed's amplifiers have also been more in the overdriven. Ed's amplifiers have also been more overdriven they get more overdriven in each generation. Yeah. That's right. Michael Smith also says, I heard that the Wolfgang specials are no longer made in Japan. Is that true? Yes.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. When those came out, they were Japan and China.
Right.
I don't even know if they're even. I think they're just strictly Mexico now.
Made in Mexico. I'm gonna go live for a second so I can show him the red one that I have right now.
You are live.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go video.
Oh, look, there he is, and look at that amp.
Here it is. Oh yes, I do have a.
That's the 50 watt.
50 watt behind.
Crap, man. We're sitting here talking about this stuff, and you have all this stuff.
And here is my Mexican-made special that I've been playing for the last few days, and it's real good. I did a couple of little modifications to it, but all in all, I cannot complain about this guitar at all. So that's that. But yeah, man, they don't make them in Japan anymore. I think those are great too, but it's okay because these Mexican ones, they're very good. Just pick a color. Pick a color.
They're amazing. I go to NAMM every year. I see the stuff.
Yeah,
I'm one of the first to actually get my hands on the stuff. And yes, I have a Chinese Wolfgang. That's what I have.
Yeah, and yours is great too.
Mine is like a parts caster. I got the pickups as a gift, and I figured, I better build a guitar around these pickups. And so I got the body, the neck, slapped it together, and that's why mine. People always ask me, "Wow, you have a Stealth with the maple neck? How'd you get that?" And it's something I threw together. It's from two different guitars.
Sure.
But yeah.
By the way, before you go any further, Randall says thanks for the information, and cheers from British Columbia.
Yeah, cheers, man. From where am I? San Diego. Where Santa Cruz?
Yeah, they're about a roundabout
Santa
way.
Cruz. Yeah. Santa Cruz from California. And look, now we know what Dave looks like.
Yes, I'm still wearing the same shirt as earlier today.
Oh, let me see. Alberto.
Get a good photo of that amp.
I heard that was Wolfgang. Okay, that was Michael Smith. Alberto says, Lowell, I have to agree. The 5150 PV is more hissy sounding, but I love it. And I do want to do a wet dry sound with a PV 5150 or a 5153 since I'm building an EVH style board. Cool. Oh yeah, I've seen photos. I think you post photos of your board on Facebook, right, Alberto?
Yeah.
I think I've seen that.
Alberto, also hit up Chris Hubbard on Facebook. Chris Hubbard, he builds those wet rigs, and I don't know if you've seen any of his posts, but Chris Hubbard, he's like 25 years old, 24, 25, and he is just ridiculous how good of a Van Halen type of guitar player he is. He built his own rig, and if you need any pointers or want to ask any questions, he'll be the guy to talk to because his rig is it's an exact duplicate of Ed's rig. Exact. I mean, his board, everything in the board is exactly like Ed's rig. So, give him a ring, give him a message him on Facebook, and he'll be happy to talk to you about it. He's a cool dude.
Mm-hmm. Let me see. I'm checking my my Twitter for if I got any questions on there. Let's see. Okay, there's that. Yeah, and Dave, yeah, you're the one that posted this and like all those pages, so
I'm looking. That's why I keep looking over to my phone.
you'd be getting the notifications.
Yeah, and I'm really not getting any hang on a second. Nope. No, just a message from Randall.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, if you have any questions, comments, I think we're probably going to wrap it up pretty soon. We have to walk Howie, and I think we've been on here for like an hour, and I don't think we've barely talked about fair warning. We did a little bit. Oh, Alberto says yep, and thanks for the info. Cool. Let's see. Well, hey, we can do a part 2.
Sure.
Are you going to be up for a while?
I am definitely going to be up. I'm not going anywhere.
Okay. You want to continue this in a little while?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. We're gonna jump out of here because Howie the Dalmatian needs his evening stroll, and so I think we're gonna jump off. But we'll be back. We'll be back live. It's Friday night. It's 7:42 p.m. here at Pacific Coast. So yeah, if we jump back on like in like an hour or something.
Yeah, I'm fine with an hour.
Later on?
I won't
Okay,
be playing
all right.
in an hour, but
We should do a rig rundown.
We'll play you
on
out.
part 2. Okay.
We'll play you out on something. How about that?
What song was that?
Drop Dead Legs.
Well, that wasn't on fair warning.
Yeah, I know. So what? I'm playing it on a PV Wolfgang, for God's sakes.
That's not a PV.
I mean, not a PV, an EVH Wolfgang.
Oh, I think tune in for part 2. It'll just be insane at this rate.
Yeah.
Alberto says we should do a rig rundown on part 2. Yeah. Well, yeah, we were going to talk about Eddie's guitars, his live guitars for the Fair Warning tour. We had a lot of stuff we were going to talk about, and we ended up talking about all this. But it's all good. It all relates. It's all the same. It's all the same thing. So, hey, anybody watching this right now, if you'd like to join us on part 2, maybe in like an hour and a half, I don't know. If you would like to join us, on camera, audio, or whatever, message me on Facebook, and you can jump in here with us if you like. Or, tweet us, send us messages. Alberto says I might join on part 2 if that is okay. I want to play
Absolutely
as well. Is. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We'll jump back on here in like, I don't know, an hour and a half. I don't know. I still haven't eaten dinner. I still have to eat dinner. I have to walk with Howie. So, and it's still early for me. It's only 15 to 8 here, but yes, I did. Yeah, I had a banana. That's all I ate today. Okay, Michael Smith has another question here. Let's are you ready to go? Okay. Okay. Oh yeah, it's Friday, everybody. Friday. Dave's like, what the hell are you talking about?
Oh, Randall's name?
No, Friday.
Oh.
Well,
I don't know. Oh,
Ruth is-
you mean?
Ruth has a
Your-
shirt
your
that
yogurt?
says it's Friday. Like Friday,
Oh,
yay.
Friday. Oh, yes.
Friday.
Friday.
I guess that's something
All right.
the kids say these days.
Nice.
Okay. All right. Michael Smith has a question. We'll address.
You want to
we'll
take
address,
it now, or do you want to do it when we get back?
Well, I do have. I'm about to walk out the door.
Okay, so we'll do it
While
when we get
it's-
back.
while
Michael
it's
Smith,
still light
stay,
out.
Stay with us for the next one, Mike, and we'll get you a question.
Yes. I'll tag you.
We'll start with that. We'll start with Michael's question on part 2.
I'm trying to tag you in his it's not letting me. All right. Alberto says, don't forget to tuck in the chickens. Yes. Yes, they need to go in as well. Okay. We'll jump off right now. We'll come back a little later on and do a part 2 to this and talk more about. We'll address all the guitar stuff, of course, but we'll talk more about Fair Warning.
Sounds
And talk about Eddie's guitars that he used for that tour, his, the cool stuff.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right. Well, hey, Dave, I'll see you. See you in a little bit. See you, Alberto. See
Okay.
you, Michael Smith. See you, everybody. All right. Johnny Bean, johnbean.com. Be back shortly. All right. Bye.
Peace and love.
Peace and love. Whoa. Okay.